Drivers and Danica, start your engines!
Pull those belts down tight one more time. Warm up those tires. Hit your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, NHRA, and local dirt track and drag strip racing talk. This is the fastest hour in radio.
Where'd you go? Where's your home? How'd you end up all alone? Can you hear me now? Hear me now?
Here's your host, Steve West and Dustin Harmer, with producer John Myers.
Indeed, the gang is all here. Welcome into another weekend of racing action, and we have got only one race to actually detail from last weekend because they ran two races at Texas Motor Speedway. If you remember during last week's show, during the run of every single racing series we cover,
right?
They ran the Xfinity Series race Friday night under the lights.
Yes.
So we already detailed that. All we got is the Saturday night Spring Cup Series race.
Gives us plenty of time to do what we do best, Steve.
That's right. We'll talk about a lot of off-the-track stuff, and we'll go long form on it. I'm Steve West. That is Dustin Harmer.
What's
over
up?
there on the board is the man, the myth, the legend, the producer, John Myers.
I'm a legend.
You are a legend.
The one and
Good
only.
morning, guys.
All right. Let's see. Let's get some housekeeping done first things first. And if you are on the road and you are coming from North Alabama heading towards Birmingham on I-65, I have been informed. I-65 southbound going through Malfunction Junction has all but one lane closed.
You know, I'm so glad that I don't get to drive around up here anymore.
Ain't that fun? So be looking for alternate routes if you're going south through Birmingham, continuing on south, maybe think Highway 31. If you are thinking about heading down towards Tuscaloosa, maybe for A-Day game activities down at Bryant-Denny Stadium, jump off at Findlay Boulevard, go over to Highway 78, and that'll be Arkadelphia Road, then turn left and get onto I-2059, head down towards Tuscaloosa that way. In other words, find alternate routes. Because it's going to be a mess.
Your GPS, if you have a address plugged into your GPS, will continue to say rerouting.
Yes, exactly. So look at your GPS carefully, find alternate routes, because 65 is going to be junk. And for all the truckers, and by the way, of all the radio stations in North Alabama, we own the truck driving population as far as listenership, and we thank you all very, very much for doing what you do and
Yes.
for listening to us. Fair warning, please find an alternate route. Otherwise, today could be extremely frustrating for you.
And if you're too late for that and you're already stuck, you can just listen to us for the next hour and a half.
There you go. 9411011, toll free 866-551-9933. If you're listening to us live on Saturday morning, you can call in and check us out. If you heard those phone numbers and you're listening Saturday evening or Sunday morning, you're listening to a replay, so you could call, but you're not going to get an answer. Now, let's see where we're also online, facebook.com/thefastesthour in radio and all the other places.
That's right. Twitter @FastestHour, Instagram @FastestHour. Looking forward to getting some pictures in about 2 weeks as we'll be in the tower at
Yes,
Talladega
we are.
Superspeedway.
Next week, working on tickets, so hopefully we're going to be getting you pictures as well from Barber Motorsports Park as the Verizon IndyCar Series comes to Birmingham as well. So hopefully we'll have some tickets and be able to get you some pictures and stories live from on the scene.
Yes, that's right. So Speed Weeks in Alabama is getting ready to kick off over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
But you can also find us as well. If you missed the show, you missed the replays, you can check us out on YouTube at our YouTube channel. Simply go to youtube.com and look up The Fastest Hour in Radio. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, get that weekly email.
If you go back to our social media, we do a couple of videos, one leading up to the live version of the show, which is just a quick promo that says, hey, we're coming up. I had teased something that we're working on when it comes to behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh, yes.
We're working on you being able to actually kind of watch the radio show as it happens, and that will be an added aspect onto the replay that you will find on YouTube here. So hopefully we're going to be able to get to that very soon.
I can't show up in my bathrobe anymore.
I'm glad that he doesn't do it now.
Well, you know, actually, you gotta look the part at that point. You actually have to, wake up and get ready because John's gonna be recording you.
This is true. You'll have to shave a little bit.
Oh, man.
He's gonna make me do that at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to have to start shaving on Friday nights or Saturday mornings instead of waiting until Sunday.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to watch what I'm doing in front of me. I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid.
We might have to have a post-show meeting. We might need to rethink this philosophy.
No, we need. You know what we need to do, John. You'll get this. Flash up that cool little off the air. The little off the air
stand
decal, the little image that comes up. Yeah, let's just do that.
We
Yeah,
are experiencing technical difficulties.
forever.
Please stand by.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll be working on that, and we'll figure it all out as to whether we're
A lot of moving parts, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
many different things. And you know what? This came across Facebook the other day, as a
Okay.
matter of fact. And I want to tell you, happy anniversary,
Well, thank you.
because we've been doing this for 4 years now.
Amazing to think that, isn't it?
4 years,
Fastest hour in radio between Dustin and myself has been going on for 4 years in some way, shape, or form.
and it all started with a phone call.
Started with one phone call. I mean, you and I met back in 2009, so hard to believe, almost 7 years ago now.
Yes,
When I went and spoke in front of your class at our old broadcasting school.
yes.
And then all of a sudden you called up one night and started just kind of talking, and I kept you on the phone.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, you want to do this next week? Sure.
Yeah, 15 minutes turned into 30, 30 turned into an hour turned into, hey, let's do this weekly. Okie dokie.
Yep. And it went from an evening show from 8 to 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night to now Saturday mornings for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm actually in the state.
Yes, you are. That's true, too. As opposed to Ryan, who you heard last hour in the Entertainment Roundtable, who still hasn't quite figured out that, you know what, here's better than there.
Yeah, Ryan. What's up with that, man? Come on, get down here.
I don't know what's up with him. All right, let's get into the racing talk, shall we? And again, 941-1011, toll-free, 866-551-9933. Anytime you hear something, feel free to be a part of it. Next week, we're thinking we're going to have visitor in studio.
Yes, we will be joined next week by one of our former guests, Joey Jatina will be joining us. He's going to be talking all about what's going on at Talladega Superspeedway for him with the ARCA race.
And he's got some good stuff in the works.
Yes, he does. He has a lot of good stuff. I would love to share a lot more, but it's going to be
We're gonna
great.
let him do that.
It's going to be great. He's going to be joining us for the whole show. We're not just going to have him in for a segment. Not only he will be joining us, we're also going to be having his crew chief, who is coming out of retirement, as a matter of fact, and that would be Bob Massey. He's going to be coming out
This
of
is cool.
retirement to be his crew chief at Talladega. So we're going to have both of them in studio. So make sure you're tuning in next week, and make sure you call up with some great questions for Joey as well as Bob.
Yep, Alabama guy, I believe born and raised right here in the state. So feel free to be a part of that show, and at the very least, tune in.
We also need to ask him about his cruise.
Oh, that's true, too. He did go on a cruise recently, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He's been busy.
He really has.
Yes, he has.
But all good things.
Yes.
And we like that. All right.
Awesome.
So last Saturday night, under the lights, Sprint Cup Series took to Texas Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards was on the pole. It showed the strength of Joe Gibbs Racing as well, by the way. Edwards led many, many laps in the first stages of the event. And then you had Martin Truex Jr., the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers pretty much term him an adopted teammate since their organization supplies chassis and such to Furniture Row Racing. He took control for a little while, but despite Truex leading 141 laps and Edwards 124, it was all down to tire management and or bad pit stops that end up dooming them. And then you get to this guy, Kyle Busch, got 4 fresh tires during a caution with less than 50 laps to go. Truex chose not to pit, gambling on the fact that they were going to get another caution in the last 50 or so laps.
Maybe thinking that, if you look back at all of the Texas races, when we talk about it on the show, it's always to the fact that somebody decides not to pit, somebody takes 2 tires, everybody else takes 4. It's always a gaggle when it comes to a restart, especially late in the race at Texas Motor Speedway. And it usually does not work out well. We always see an extra caution added in there. I was actually yelling. This is no joke, yelling at the TV because Martin Truex Jr. did not pit. I said, you just cost yourself the race.
Yes, felt the same exact way. I understand that there's strategy involved, and if you honestly think that there's something that might happen within the last few laps, you might consider it, but there were a lot of long green flag runs at Texas Motor Speedway, and despite the fact that I think actually because of the fact that Texas Motor Speedway has some age on its surface, it's not quite as bad as, say, Atlanta, which acts like sandpaper to the tires, but it's getting there. At this point in time, if I'm under caution, I don't care whether I'm first or I'm last. I'm coming in. I'm getting 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, you have to look back at the history. If you look back at recent history at Texas, you look back to last year, and we detailed it right here on the show, how just messed up that restart was at the spring race because you had those guys that decided to stay out, not take tires. But that is when you can definitely tell, especially at a place like Texas, Dover, those kinds of places that Dover will eat up the tires.
Yes,
Texas,
it
like
will.
you just said, is getting there.
Yeah.
You need tires at Texas.
Yes.
I don't know where on earth somebody gets off thinking, you know what, we can stay out. We're good on the tires we got. Because I guarantee you, if there are 2 tires behind you or there are 4 tires behind you, you're going down.
Absolutely, and they did. When the green flag was shown, 33 laps to go, pretty much only a matter of time. Kyle Busch, using that fresher Goodyear rubber, swept past Truex, claimed the win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. climbs up to second. Here's the drop. Keep reminding you, green flag fell. Martin Truex Jr. leading. All right. So again, Kyle Busch, your winner. Dale Jr. second. Joey Logano third. Jimmy Johnson fourth. Chase Elliott fifth. Finally, Martin Truex Jr. fell to sixth.
And that right there, I mean, you can look at it. You go from first to sixth in a matter of laps at Texas.
Yep. Carl Edwards ended up seventh, followed by Casey Kane. So that's all 4 Hendrick Motorsports cars in the top 10. Then a Stewart-Haas Racing pair wrapping up the top 10. Kurt Busch ninth, Kevin Harvick 10th. So no new winners on the season still because of this particular race. So we still have the 5 winners that are locked into the chase. We're talking Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski. And all of a sudden, my screen has decided it's going to freeze up on me.
And then the rest of the
Love
top
that.
10, you got Carl Edwards leading the non-winners, trailed by Joey Logano, back 7. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is down 30 to Carl Edwards. Kurt Busch is 33 behind Austin Dillon, who's in 10th, 43 from Edwards. Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, and Chase Elliott, as well as A.J. Allmendinger and Casey Kane. Those are currently making up the rest of that top 16.
Yeah, kind of expanding it out there, giving you an idea of who is in and who is out. And you think about it, last week we were talking about a couple of those rookies in there. Ryan Blaney has since fallen outside of the top 16, but Chase Elliott is in there. This is going to be an interesting show for Rookie of the Year.
I think it is.
And it's a fairly good possibility that at least one of them is going to make the chase.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it here on the show over the past couple weeks about these two. Chase and Ryan, they just, I don't know. There's just something a little different about the two of these guys versus what we've seen in the past from rookies.
Right.
They're cool, calm, collected. They've been brought up very well. They've been groomed properly. So we're seeing a different. We've been talking about that infusion of youth.
Yes.
But we're seeing I think a different infusion in this youth between the two of them.
Yeah,
Something that we're
especially
not
the
used
two of
to.
them. I mean, you think about their dads. Obviously, Chase Elliott's dad, Bill Elliott, who we know so well as a NASCAR champion, and the guy who still holds the all-time qualifying speed record at Talladega, and therefore in NASCAR at over 212 miles an hour, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Then you look at Dave Blaney, who, granted, he didn't exactly make humongous waves in NASCAR, but he was able to stay in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, what is now the Sprint Cup Series, for a long, long time. Before that, he was a World of Outlaws guy. Ryan Blaney's grown up around this. He has been there. He's seen it. He's done it. His dad has been going through and telling him, hey, listen, learn from my experiences. Here's where I went wrong. Here's where you can fix this.
You know, well, if you look at Dave Blaney and you look at the fact that you're right, he didn't get that stellar car to drive or anything like that. He was kind of always behind the 8 ball, so to speak. But I think the experience that he gained just by running what he ran has not only helped Ryan, but I think it has propelled him to another level due to the fact of dealing with the fact that he's got Wood Brothers power behind him.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than what his dad is used to. And I think that's really brought Ryan along. He's so calm.
I was trying to remember the best team that Dave Blaney had been on, and I remember him running a BP Amoco paint scheme, and I can't remember who it was that the team owner was, but it was back in the early days of the Dodge period of time. And that was probably his best ride at that point in time, and it wasn't that was such a stellar ride in and of itself, but that was probably the best quality ride that Dave Blaney had gotten at that point in time. And when he got that, he could consistently be counted on as a top 20 kind of a finisher.
Right.
He was never that big of a competitor when it came to going for the wins. Every once in a while you'd see him jump up into a top 5, maybe top 10 result. But Bill Davis?
Yes, Bill Davis Racing.
Okay, that must have been what it was, because that was about the best cars that he had ever had while he was in Cup racing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it showed his potential. His son was able to prove it at a younger age, number one, and number two, in better equipment. So I think he's been able to come in and prove he was worth getting and pulling up. And he's been a little early. We've wondered about whether his age is a situation, but at this point in time, as we've seen the Kyle Bushes and the Joey Logano's and now Eric Jones and Chase Elliott's, age isn't really that much of a factor anymore because they're starting their racing careers at 5, 6, and 7 years old.
Yeah, and that's what really sets them up, and I think that's what really set up Ryan for where he's at now. And if you look at the comparison between Dave and Ryan, you look at the fact that, Dave, his dad didn't get all that bringing up, being around as much as he was like Ryan. I mean, Ryan's grown up with all of these drivers.
Yeah.
So he's gotten a little bit of an edge on his dad when it's come to
Yes.
how he's been able to really interact and get out there and see different things.
And more importantly, he's taken advantage of some of the things that he's gotten the advantages over what his dad had gotten at that point.
Yes, it's not been given to him, Joe Logano, but it hasn't been put on that platter in front of him. It's been, here's what you can do. You do with it what you do with it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come protect you if you say, I don't know, get in a fight with somebody. I'm going to let you kind of just grow and do your stuff. But he's such an exceptional driver. I think it's really going to be, as we come down to the end of the season, this Rookie of the Year is going to be an amazing race.
I think you're right. This weekend, next step in that takes place at Bristol Motor Speedway, and it starts with the Xfinity Series as they go to Bristol for the Fitzgerald Glider Kits 300. This is an interesting situation because we're starting heat races. We'll detail them coming up here in just a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll air on Fox Sports 1. PRN Radio starts at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. Then you get to early Sunday morning. Formula One gets back into action. The Grand Prix of China. It'll be running on the 16-turn, 3.38-mile-long Shanghai International Circuit. Starts on the NBC Sports Network at 2 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 a.m. Central Time. That's called DVR time for me. I'm not going to be awake.
I might be awake.
I'm not going to be awake.
I might. You know what? I really enjoyed watching it live last time. So I don't know.
Not going to be awake for this one. Welcome to DVR. Nico Rosberg is on the pole as they qualified last night. Daniel Ricciardo put his Red Bull on the outside of the front row.
Wow, there we go.
Job
There
there.
we go.
Second row, all Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen, Sebastian Vettel. So I decided, okay, wait a minute. We'll detail why Lewis Hamilton had to take a 5 grid spot penalty. So I thought, well, let's go find out exactly where he is. 22 cars start.
Yes, 22.
You know, John, Lewis Hamilton, 5 grid spot penalty for changing a gearbox. Where does Lewis Hamilton start? He's not in the top 4, obviously.
I'm going to say 22 cars,
Yes,
19th.
you're close.
Getting there.
Last.
Yes.
That was my first choice, but it was too obvious.
He took 3 laps in qualifying and ends up coming up with a DNS because he couldn't quite make minimum speed. Something happened on that car.
It's amazing what has happened to Lewis Hamilton this year.
But everyone says amongst all the circuits that they run in Formula One, this is the one that has more passing zones for overtaking than any other course.
Yes.
So if you're going to start last, this is the track to do it on.
Yeah, but he cannot have a Bahrain again.
There's no margin for error.
There is zero. He has to basically trust everybody that's racing around him as well at the same time as trust himself and make very, very good decisions.
Yes.
But he has to make them fast. He has to make them very quickly.
His decision-making has to be fast, but he has to be patient. He has to make sure that he takes care of that car and knows, I can make that pass on that car this curve.
Yes.
And set it up ahead of time. He's going to have patience. If he's impatient, he's going to find himself in a Bahrain situation.
He's going to very, very quickly, and it's not going to go
back in that
well.
part of the pack?
You don't want that.
No,
I mean,
because
it was bad enough at Bahrain for him. He does not want to have
with 21 cars in front of you, if they get wadded up and you make a dumb decision, you're wadded up.
Yeah, pretty much, and then the day is done, and then you end up like Vettel at Bahrain. You're sitting in the paddock watching everybody else race
For a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
All right, to Sunday, you got Sprint Cup Series running the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. That's on the Fox Network and Performance Racing Network on radio. Coverage begins noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. For those of you that are wondering, hey, wait a minute, I thought Bristol runs under the lights. No, that's the fall race.
Yeah, fall race.
Spring race is always during the daytime.
I mean, who's stupid enough to think that?
I really don't know.
Justin.
Carl Edwards claimed the second straight pole position. Get this, 14.991 second lap for qualifying. That's cooking around this bank.
We've
high
seen
banked
it.
half mile Good night.
We've seen it.
We've seen it before, but it had been a long time since we saw a number like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you look at this season, everything's changed. Everything's different. Qualifying, we're seeing great qualifying speeds. We're seeing track records smashed, not just broken. We're talking obliterated.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing things like this, and it's on a weekly basis.
This just goes to prove to me that these drivers love the new lower downforce package that they got going on out there.
Well, we've talked about it. It gives them a chance to be a driver again,
right,
versus just kind of turning laps. It gives it. When we talk about the term rising to the top, the cream rising to the top, we are seeing that now.
Yeah.
With this lower downforce package. And we were kind of about it at first. A lot of people were kind of for it, against it. I myself was on the fence, but I tell you what, it has brought some outstanding racing this year. I can only imagine what's going to happen as we march towards Homestead later on.
I'll be very interested to find out. It'll also be interesting to see what happens when they put them in the draft out at Talladega.
Oh,
2 weeks.
We are 2 weeks away, brother.
Yes, we are. Joe Gibbs Racing pretty much dominating up front there at Bristol. You've got Carl Edwards, as we just mentioned, on the pole. His Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Matt Kenseth joins him on the front row. 4 of the first 5 starting positions are your Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. The lone exception is Joey Logano, who qualified 3rd. Then you got Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, who actually is last amongst the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. Shed a tear for him.
Oh, sorry, my tear ducts are dried up.
Come on.
I'm not crying.
Little bit?
Not for a Toyota.
Little humidity?
Not for a Toyota.
Sweat?
Not for a Toyota. No. I'd say you look at JGR this year. Oh, my gosh.
They have this figured out.
They have come out of the box. We were talking about them last year. They were having so many issues. The year before, so many issues. They were trying to get things worked out. The addition of Martin Truex Jr. coming over and being that adopted team, that we really did not see them kind of embracing that. We're seeing an entire new JGR. This is a JGR that if they maintain what they are doing, they are heads above Hendrick, Richard Childress, Stuart Haas. They're above everybody right now. They are the team to beat, and everybody else is trying to play catch-up.
Absolutely. Then one more race, and that'll be the Verizon IndyCar Series. They're running the Toyota Long Beach Grand Prix. 12 turns, 1.96 mile long. It's a street course. Airtime on the IMS radio network and the NBC Sports Network, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. TV may wait another half an hour. That's radio start time, just to let you know. So, but yeah, Toyota Long Beach Grand Prix will wrap up your racing action tomorrow afternoon/evening, or if you're listening Sunday morning, this afternoon. All right, Kyle Busch got to talking to the media earlier this week, and one question came up about his dreams when it comes to racing. Now, you might remember a couple of years ago, his brother Kurt ran the Indy 500. Kyle mentioned he'd like to do it as well. He knows there are a lot of details that would need to be worked out, so he has no timetable for a possible double run. We're seeing more and more of this, though. Obviously, Kurt a couple of years ago, the question has been for Tony Stewart pretty much every single year since he last ran the double. Hey, you going to run the double this year? Danica Patrick, they kind of wonder whether she's going to go back and run in her old IndyCar roots and maybe try and run the double. It seems like every time we turn around, yet another driver is being talked to about running the double. AJ Allmendinger seems like it. Brian Vickers may actually run it this year. We'll get back to that in a couple of minutes as well. Now we're getting Kyle Busch. There's... As much as you're shaking your head and you don't want to see it, I get this.
It's not that I don't want
There's
to
a romance, though.
There is.
To the idea of running 500 miles at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, having to jump on an airplane, get down to Charlotte Motor Speedway in time to run another 600 miles.
He won't do it.
You don't think so?
No. You know why? Because there is a woman that is going to stop him. Samantha Busch. You know, we go back a few years ago. You got
I actually have the answer to this.
The fire suit in the family thing.
Yeah,
yeah. Samantha Busch is the one that wears the fire suit.
He kind of admitted to the fact that he has talked to Samantha about it.
Yeah.
And Samantha basically looked at him and said, if you decide to do it, don't tell me until everything is signed, sealed, and delivered, and then let me know and I'll be there.
But that's going to make Mama very unhappy.
Yeah, if he's going out there and he's doing this negotiation and he ends up running for, I'm picking a team, let's say Chip Ganassi Racing. It may not be Chip Ganassi, it may be Andretti Autosport. It doesn't matter. But he goes out there and he makes this announcement, you know, got the sponsorship, got the car. Oh, by the way, honey, running Indy 500. Hope you'll be there.
Yeah, no, that was code. She just talked in code, and we as men know code.
Yeah.
If you're too dumb to pay attention to the code, then you should just shut your mouth, basically, because she basically just put the ball in his court for him to make the mistake.
Yes, she gave him enough rope to hang himself.
Basically, that's exactly what she did. And now the ball is in his court. He has to make the decision. You better think long and hard, Kyle, because she just told you don't you do it.
Well, and I think about, again, there's a romance to it. There's no doubt about it. And I think it'd be fantastic. And some one of these days, I hope to see this. And the fact that they have locked down or decrease the number of cars that will start on a Sprint Cup grid, I think lessens the chance of this. But at some point in time, I'd love to see this in reverse. We see all the NASCAR guys going to Indy, and they're running the double that way. I want to see an Indy 500 driver decide to run in the Coca-Cola 600. I would like to see this go both ways.
I would too.
You know? And I don't know who it would be necessarily. Tony Kanaan, I don't think he's ever been in a stock car. I'm just kind of trying to think about it. The one that sticks out is, quite frankly, because of his jet dryer incident from a couple of years ago. But he has stock car experience. That's Juan Pablo Montoya.
No, we don't need him on track.
I think he would probably. I don't know.
I think he would be your best candidate.
Probably.
If I had to pick a driver from the IndyCar series right now running, say they were going to do it this year, I would want to see Scott Dixon or Helio Castroneves.
Scott Dixon does have some experience behind the wheel of a stock car, but mostly on road courses.
I would just like to see how they kind of go over. You've talked about it. We've seen the Formula One, and we've seen Lewis Hamilton and Tony Stewart switch for the commercial and try things out and all that stuff.
Jeff Gordon and Juan Pablo Montoya did it when he was back in Formula One. We have seen it one time, and again, the driver escaped. It might have actually been Scott Dixon, but it was one of the Chip Ganassi guys because it was Jamie McMurray, and they did it at Barber Motorsports Park in Talladega 4 or 5 years ago. I would just like to see. I'd like to see these two organizations
bounce back and forth
a little bit more instead of it all being NASCAR going to run the Indy 500. I get the attraction of running the Indy 500, but you're talking about the first race to run 600 miles.
Yeah, but you're also the one guy who wants to do extremely well in both of them. You want to be at the top of the board on both of the races and cement your name in history.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know whether
I'll do it.
The guy who's been the most successful at doing it, finished in the top 10 in both the Indy 500 and Coke 600, and the only guy to run all 1,100 miles is Tony Stewart. He got to talking about his back. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
You're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
For months now, Fastest Hour listeners have been turning to Wild Vapors in Sylacauga to provide all their vaping needs. If you haven't yet dropped cigarettes or been to Wild Vapors, you are missing out on the WYDE Preferred Vape Store. You have been wanting to quit smoking for a while now, but haven't found the tool that will get you to the victory once and for all. Wild Vapors has your solution to cigarette addiction. There is a healthier alternative to smoking that can break the routine and help you beat cigarettes once and for all. In fact, over 8% of smokers nationwide have ditched cigarettes for vaping. And now it's time for you. Join the thousands of Americans that have already found the joy of being smoke-free with vaping. The owners at Wild Vapors mix a signature formula for their own brand in an off-site clean room facility, using only the highest quality USP ingredients and leaving out all the artificial sweeteners and other unwanted chemicals. Make your next pit stop at Wild Vapors today in the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location. Call 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
I'm Joey Logano, driver number 22 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Underinflated tires put your car out of tune. But with properly inflated and maintained tires, your car could be in sync and ready to rock. Keep your car humming along smoothly by checking tire pressure each month and before every long journey. You'll enjoy a better ride, better gas mileage, and get the most out of your tires.
For more information, visit betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
I am Garrett Lloyd, and you're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.1 WYDE.
Back to green flag action on the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Fastest hour in radio rolling on. We're going to be talking about the man they nicknamed Smoke here in just a couple of moments, but that brings me to the idea that if you are a smoker, and it is tough. I was one. I know. It's not an easy thing to let go.
No, it's not.
But if you have been thinking, you know what, I got to let these go. I got to put these down. I got to set these aside for myself, my family, we've got a way that'll make it easier than just trying to go cold turkey.
That's right. Our good friends, Shelly and Eddie Bowman down at Wild Vapors, have put together one heck of a business, and they've put together one heck of a plan for you to put those cigarettes down, and it's worked out well for me. I'm on my 17th month right now of no cigarettes. I always was wondering if I was going to be able to find that way. I know you're out there thinking it too, that you just don't have the way to put those cigarettes down. You always go back to them or something along lines like that. You've tried the gums, you've tried the patches, you've tried everything. You've tried cold turkey. Your family hates you for it because you're so mean and nasty and angry, but you don't have to be that way anymore. You can be happy and you can be smoke-free with our good friends at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and the Walmart Shopping Center in Alexander City, right up the street from Central Alabama Community College, right there at the corner. They've got everything that you need, knowledgeable staff. They've got my good buddy Chance in there, who has been an exceptional employee for them, and he knows his stuff too. So there are 3 people ready to go for you to help you quit smoking today. Whether you're coming in for a mod, you're coming in for juice, good juice, not bad juice. That's the good juice, sucralose-free, diacetyl-free, all those other additives that you do not need in your vaping juice. They've got it at Wild Vapors. Mods from beginner to advanced. I've seen some crazy stuff. Chance has put together some crazy stuff, but you can give them a call today. Pick their brain a little bit. Call them up. Inquire about it. Just kind of reach out and get the information. You don't know unless you give them a call. So give them a call today, 256-369-2569. Or if you're in the area, you can also just stop in their 2 locations, Walmart Shopping Center and right there up the street from Central Alabama Community College. But whatever you do, you got to put those cigarettes down. It's time to find the healthy alternative, and we have it for you at Wild Vapors.
Do yourself a favor, by the way. If you're thinking about doing this, call down to Wild Vapors first. We'll give you the number here again in just a second, so make sure you got a pad and piece of paper or have your cell phone open it up and ready to go. But call them, talk to either Eddie or Shelly. Pick their brains. I mean, literally, get into it deep. Go heavy. Ask any question that you possibly ask. But especially ask about the aforementioned sucralose diacetyl chemicals.
Right.
Okay? Then, do yourself another favor. Go call the local chain that you got down there and the 16-year-old kid who's behind the counter getting a paycheck just because he wants to go check out a movie. Ask him about diacetyl and sucralose.
Yeah,
and then see what he goes. What?
Yeah, you're gonna find it's a whole different ballgame when you talk to Eddie and Shelly, because you're gonna call up and whatever question you have for them, they're gonna have the information to tell you. They're gonna have the information. Not that it's their thoughts and stuff, but actual physical proof research. The stuff is there. A lot of people they don't have the information. But this is not just something that's just kind of a run of the mill thing. This is like something major that you're doing, a life change. This is like on the lines of buying a house or buying a car. If you put as much thought into your body personally as you do into buying that Jaguar or Toyota or house that you're going to be buying, if you put as much thought into that as you should into your body, I'm telling you, you wouldn't be smoking today. Give them a call, 256-369-2569. Stay on track with us and Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and Alexander City.
All right, what got us talking about smoking is the fact that the man who is nicknamed Smoke, he took to the Stewart Haas Racing website on Thursday to update all of his fans on his progress. Right now, well, there isn't any. Smoke put up on the site, quote, "We won't know anything until the end of the month when we go get scanned again." He didn't give an exact date for that scan, however. But he added this. He is getting antsy.
You think?
Unfortunately, quote unquote, "it's a lot of waiting right now, which is about to drive me crazy." He added that he feels as though he could be back for this weekend's race, but he's going to wait for the doctors to clear him since he's feeling his 45 years of age, but knows that he will be ready when the doctors clear him. Now, we saw him last year, and he was not a happy man behind the wheel last year, up until the point where they started playing with the aerodynamic rules. At one track, they increased the aerodynamic downforce of the cars. He didn't do well there, but when they put this year's rules of the lower aerodynamics, all of a sudden, Tony was running top 10.
Yes.
And he was fighting for top 5. This guy right here, if he could have been in since Daytona, I think this year would be vastly different from what we saw last year.
We saw it, and we were talking about during the off season as we were approaching this, that this was going to be a great year for Tony.
Yeah.
Because, like we just talked about a few minutes ago, this new lower downforce package that they've put on it puts the car back in the driver's hands. Yeah. That's what Tony is. Tony is a driver. He's not just a robot.
Right. That said, we have seen him at the track over the past few weeks, somewhat defying doctor's orders probably.
Sort
But
of.
he's admitted that. But he has gotten a little bit of a taste of what it is for him to be at the track next year without thinking, okay, I'm going to go get into a driver's suit. So he's getting a little bit of that. So I think that that's a benefit, number one, for him. Number two, for Danica and Kurt and Kevin and, whether it's Brian Vickers or Ty Dillon as it is this weekend. We'll detail that in just a couple of seconds. I think he's getting some ideas of what it's going to be like next year when he steps out of the Sprint Cup Series car, and he can ease into that role a lot better. But when he is cleared to get back in the car, you want to talk about a guy who's going to be hungry.
Hungry would be... They need to do a Snickers commercial for him. Really, they do. I know. Yeah. I mean, I know Mars is with.
I was about to say, unfortunately, it's not
Kyle
his sponsor.
Busch. But just this once, I would love to see maybe Kyle Busch.
Maybe they put Kyle
involved.
Busch in there. Sure.
Hey,
why not?
Have a Snickers, and then it's Tony Stewart. You feel better. You could have it like Austin Dillon. You could have Austin Dillon being all whiny and cranky and everything else, and then Kyle Busch gives him a Snickers bar, and then says, "Feel better," and then it's Tony Stewart saying, "I feel great."
For Dustin, these things write themselves.
They do. I'm telling you.
You need to write M&M Mars and present that as a commercial idea.
This is, one-time sponsorship.
I'm telling you.
For pick a race, it doesn't matter. One-time sponsorship.
Yeah. It's Tony's final year.
Sure, why not?
This is the kind of stuff that they want to do. They did for last year. We saw all the different things they did for Jeff Gordon.
Right.
You got to think outside the box. Call Dustin Harmer. I'll come up with a plan.
That's right. We got it covered.
Yes, we got it covered right here on the show.
Fastest hour on radio. If you're looking for your advertising
while you're at it,
strategy, let us know.
Yeah, you want to talk about M&Ms and Snickers? Oh, man, let's do it.
Right.
I can actually go for some M&Ms right now.
By the way, they owe us some money for that. As for this weekend, Bass Pro Shops is going to be on the hood for Stewart's number 14 entry, and that means that Ty Dillon is behind the wheel instead of Brian Vickers. Beware, though. You will not be seeing double, but you kind of will be seeing double because there will be two Bass Pro Shops cars in the event because Ty Dillon's running that on the 14th and Austin Dillon's running it on the 3. Now, Austin's car is going to feature a Ranger Boats prominently on the side, so that might help viewers.
Well, actually, you could also find Austin's car because it'll be running up more towards the front versus that 14 of Ty Dillon because it's going to be in the back. Did you see his...
A lot of confidence for Ty.
No. Did you see his qualifying?
I saw the qualifying. Let's put it this way. He qualified worse than Danica.
Yeah, that just tells you something.
34th on the grid, I think.
We talk about them all the time, and it's just a simple fact.
We've seen a little bit of a step up so far this year from Austin, which, again, I'm waiting to see if that continues throughout the rest of the year. But what I have seen so far this year, I like.
He's getting there. He's there.
Yeah. He's starting to get it.
Yeah.
Ty, as much as he said late last year that he was ready, I don't really think he is.
Ty's not ready.
His performance behind the wheel of the 14 hasn't shown that he's ready yet.
And if he was ready, Granddaddy would have put him into a car. Granddaddy even said, "No, you're not ready."
Yeah.
Because he looked at what happened when he put Austin in, thinking Austin was ready. And now it's kind of worked out on the negative side for Ty because now Richard Childress is kind of looking at it going, "Hey, I've put a lot of money into this and it didn't work out well.
Now what do we do?"
But this goes to show you right here this weekend at Bristol that Ty Dillon is not ready for that step.
All right. As for the now this week absent Brian Vickers, he's one of a couple of drivers being considered for a Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports ride in the Indy 500. A spokesperson for the Verizon IndyCar Series team said it was between Vickers and the brother of the late Justin Wilson, Stefan. They are under consideration for the team's third entry at this time. Also in there, former IndyCar regular Oriol Servia. Servia, of course, driving fairly regular. Actually, he's an executive with one of the FIA Formula E teams, but he may get back into the car. At this time, the team says they're not ready to make an announcement. They got some time as well. They got a little more than a month before we get to the Indy 500. Between then, you've got tomorrow's race at Long Beach. You've got next week's race at Barbara Motorsports Park. 2 weeks after that, then they run on the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So they've got some time, but I would think they wouldn't want to wait too much after next week's Barbara Motorsports Park race because that's when you start to get into practice days at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 500.
Yes.
They're going to want to make that decision fairly soon.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that it should have been made a little while ago, but you're running out of time.
Indeed. When the Xfinity Series race takes to Bristol Motor Speedway a little bit later today as we first air, going to be a little bit different from what we've been seeing so far from all these other races. They're going to run heat races this year for the first time possibly ever in NASCAR. I don't know. Either way, before the actual race that we talked about a few minutes ago, the Fitzgerald Glider Kits 300, they're going to break it up into two 50-lap heat races and then the 200-lap main event. Reason for the different setup is because this will be race number 1 in the Xfinity Series Dash for Cash set of races. It's a similar heat and main races that'll be coming up at Richmond later this month, Dover next month, and at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in July. It's going to be very odd to see heat races at a 2.5-mile rectangle.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I'm sitting here thinking, Indianapolis? Really?
They want to do something that's going to separate it out, make it a little bit more special, and not be 100% overshadowed by the Brickyard 400.
No, okay. I thought we were going a different angle, because if you want to talk about making it something special and all that, I got a way you can make it special.
Run it on the road course.
Well, but you could also take out all of the Moonlighters.
That would make it
nice. That would make it even more special. You could actually watch the drivers in the series.
And here's the thing: NASCAR has realized the fact that Moonlighters have dominated.
I think they're slowly starting to come to the thought process that this is not going well for the Xfinity Series or the trucks.
I looked at the lineup a couple of days ago of the entry list for today's race at Bristol Motor Speedway, the Xfinity Series race today at Bristol. I looked at it. I want to say there was either 6 or 7 Moonlighters.
I'll double check on that.
Think about that. 6 or 7 Moonlighters going to be running at Bristol this weekend.
Right.
Good gosh almighty. Now, back to the heat races. The lineups for the heat race is going to be set through qualifying happening this morning. The fastest qualifier going to get the pole award as usual. All the odd number qualifiers, so if you qualify first, third, fifth, seventh, so on and so forth, you're going to be in heat race number 1. If you qualify second, fourth, sixth, eighth, 10th, so on and whatever, in an even number, you're going to go into heat number 2. The 2 heats will set the final starting lineup for the main event. The highest finisher in the main among the Xfinity Series drivers is going to pick up an extra $100,000 on the night. That's not money to sneeze at in the Xfinity Series.
No, it's not.
If a driver wins multiple Dash for Cash bonuses, they're going to get a slot in the season-ending Xfinity Chase as long as they are eligible, per NASCAR rules, to be able to get in there. So this is one way for NASCAR to say, we understand that the Moonlighters are being, selfish, and we're going to figure out a way to get you into the chase. You just have to be the top Xfinity Series points qualifier, and if you win 2 of those Dash for Cashes, you're in.
Yeah, even if you finish 10th and behind 9 other Moonlighters, you're still
Is it
good.
9?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
I was just throwing a number out there because it just seems like every week there's a bunch of them.
It does. There are a bunch of them.
I'm still waiting to find out that information.
So what's the average field for an Xfinity race?
They're at 40 cars this year, right? If I remember correctly.
I believe.
So almost 20% of that is made up by Moonlighters.
It can be, yeah. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that for just a couple minutes.
Which really just takes away from the rest of the field anyway, because now you got all those guys that are going to apparently go right to the top of the charts. You're just hoping that your sponsor gets enough time on the air, on TV, for them to stick along with you, so that way you can maybe get a shot at it when they don't show up. And that's... I'm going to go on such a tangent.
And I know we did it last week, but it's something that you and I think it needs to be harped on. Because I get it. I mean, you get a kid. We talked about this a little bit last week, in the fact that I would give something of a pass. I can't think of a better word. I'd give something of a pass to an inexperienced kid.
Yeah.
That pass is now gone for me when it comes to some of the guys that have been around for a little while, like Kyle Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Elliott, I'll give him this year. And the only reason I'll give him this year is because of the fact that he's still very inexperienced in the Sprint Cup level. He's in his rookie year here. But he won Rookie of the Year and the Xfinity Series title in 2014. He finished second in the points in 2015. It's a very, very short leash for me.
Yes, extremely.
Okay, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin. I mentioned Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, who used to do it in the past. I don't think he's done it that much anymore. These are the guys who I'm looking at you and going, why are you dropping down and doing this so often?
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup right now for the Xfinity race today, and this is the entry list. You've got Austin Dillon. Let's see, going down a little bit more. Justin Allgaier's back in the series. Kyle Busch, Joey
Shocking.
Logano. Yeah, shocking, Kyle Busch. Hey, you want to pick a winner today for the Bristol race? You might as well just kind of go with Kyle Busch because that's probably going to be. You look a little bit farther down the line, you got Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick. Let's see. Morgan Shepherd's racing this weekend.
Nice.
I did see that.
I'd love to root for him.
And Eric Almirola.
Okay, so that's 6 right there. 6 out of 40.
Yeah. 6 out of 4.
Could there something be said for the track time? More time on that specific track, so when somebody rolls around.
Carl Edwards was asked about that yesterday, and he said that he has noted that despite the fact that they're both Toyota Camrys, there is a significant amount of difference between the rules package in Xfinity and Sprint Cup Series to where he doesn't feel like he gets any benefit from running Xfinity Series. I mean,
then why
I guess you could figure out what the track is like. But heck, if the weather changes Saturday night into Sunday, or if you get a shower that comes in, washes all the rubber off the track, and it becomes that green track, you haven't learned that much?
Actually, think about it. If you go out and you race on Saturday in the Xfinity Series, let's look at Kyle Busch. You got Kyle Busch on track Saturday running an Xfinity race, Truck Series race, whatever the case may be, whatever the weekend's going to be. So he goes out there, he runs the entire event. He's learning how the track changes that day. You know, you can look at the temperatures; they're going to change a little bit possibly, but it's not going to be enough to really make too much of a difference. If so, you already know how the track is when it's green enough, if it's been washed off. So I really look at that fact.
Yeah,
if you run on Saturday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're running on Sunday in the main show and you're running on Friday or Saturday, you're getting an edge on everybody else. You're going to know.
I guess
and
to
Kyle
some
Busch,
extent.
you are. Well, look at Kyle Busch at Martinsville. He even sat there and said, it was great to be able to run the race yesterday because we were able to tell how the tires were going to wear off this year and how things were rubbering in.
That's true. Goodyear's brought new tires this year.
He put that out there over the air. It was great to get some, he was talking about it on Saturday, as a matter of fact, after the race. He was talking about the fact that, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to know what we're going to need to do tomorrow. That basically is cheating.
Yeah, it's sanctioned cheating.
It is. If you really want to break it down to the nuts and bolts, that's what it is. You're going out there to get information that's going to better your run for the next day. Do you see Jimmy Johnson going out there and doing it? We've seen him run, one Xfinity race in how many years? And it was a special thing for Hendrick Motorsports. That's all it was.
I don't know. It drives me crazy because, again, if we needed drivers to fill slots, I might get it. We've got plenty of drivers.
Well, there's plenty of drivers. The thing, and we've talked about it, and call in if you think I'm wrong. Please, blast me. Let me know. But we were just talking about it a minute ago. Sponsors.
Yeah.
If you have NOS Energy Drink in Victory Lane each and every week, and you've got your company that you're investing into NASCAR on an up-and-coming driver, somebody that's not extremely well-known. I mean, look at like somebody like Ross Chastain or something along those lines. You look back a little bit farther in the field. You put your company with that, but you're not getting any love whatsoever. And then who are you going to be more inclined to go to? You're going to be more inclined to want to go to those drivers who have the experience, which is going to what? It's going to take away from the lesser guys. It's going to take away from the younger guys.
Kyle Busch himself has actually dealt with this, okay? Because we talked about this, 3 years ago, back when Darrell Wallace Jr. was running Kyle Busch Motorsports Camping World Truck Series. And Kyle was winning pretty much everything under the sun. And I can't remember the sponsor right offhand who was on the hood of Darrell Wallace Jr.'s truck. But whoever it was had actually started to make noise that got out publicly. Hey, listen, we are thinking that maybe we're reevaluating our sponsorship situation with you to Kyle Busch Motorsports because of the fact that we have invested heavily into Darrell Wallace Jr., but you're coming down and you're running and you're grabbing all the headlines.
Yeah.
He's running behind you every single time. If it wasn't, and basically this is a paraphrase of the letter, so don't think that this was a quote from the letter, but effectively this is the paraphrase from the letter. The letter effectively said, if it wasn't for you, Darrell Wallace Jr. would likely have won several of these races and we would have been shown up as the sponsor of the winning driver in Victory Lane, but instead you're going out there, you're winning the races, and you're taking away our spotlight time from the money we're investing into your team. and your driver.
And not only that, but we talked. I think I brought this up last week. It was the fact that when you do those kinds of things, and the sponsors don't get the time with those drivers, don't get to feel with those drivers. When it's time for that driver to maybe make that next step, how inclined do you think that a major sponsor is going to be to move up with somebody that they haven't really seen too much proven out of because they've been overshadowed by somebody who doesn't belong there?
Yeah, we don't see this. I don't see Verizon IndyCar Series drivers running down to run Indy Lights. I don't see Formula One drivers dropping down to GP2, their feeder series.
No, they don't. They work their way up, and then once they're at the top of the pinnacle, that's where they stay.
Yeah, okay. Are we wrong? Let's go to the phones. 9411011, toll-free 866-551-9933. Talk to Les in Coleman. Hi, Les.
Hey, guys. How's it going this morning?
Good.
It's going good. How you doing, bud?
All right. Hey, you're talking about the new NASCAR car. Since they put the less downforce on, in theory, that should make a loose car now, right? I mean,
ideally, yeah.
Okay. You reckon that this would give Greg Biffle a resurgence? Because he was always a master of kind of a four-wheel drift. When he always drove, he liked a loose car, loose as fast. What he always said.
Of the ones, I think about the guys over at Roush Fenway. He would be the one that I think would be due for a rebound.
Well, if you look at the fact that Roush Fenway hasn't really been doing extremely well here lately, but you're right, it does play well into Greg Biffle's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
If Roush Fenway can step it up back and bring themselves back to the way that they used to be, a driver like Greg Biffle could thrive with this lower downforce package, Les.
Well, great. I thought that it came to mind when he was talking about it, and he always could control a four-wheel drift better than anybody. Him and Kyle Busch are two of a kind.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're right. Very correct.
Okay, well, have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Les. We appreciate it very much.
I'm curious to see how Greg Biffle does when we go to Pocono.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of take a quick look here at what we got, and it's still one of those years where we're still fighting a little bit. Greg Biffle sitting 27th in the points. He's actually not even first among Roush Fenway drivers. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has had a pretty good start to the year, but he kind of fades off a little bit later on. So we'll have to see. I'm trying to find Trevor Bayne. Actually, Greg Biffle's third out of the guys within the Roush Fenway stable. Trevor Bayne 23rd, Ricky Stenhouse 17th. Again, Greg Biffle 27th. But he's one of those drivers. Greg Biffle has never been one of those drivers that got out of the gates quick.
He's not. He's always that guy that kind of shows up towards the middle to the late race kind of aspect. It's like they got to work through a process. If you look at this weekend, as a matter of fact, I just pulled up the for qualifying. He's 23rd.
For tomorrow's race.
Okay. So, and he's only 4/10 back. But, I mean, at a place like Bristol, this is a weekend. Yeah, man, Les brings up a good point. This could be a weekend for Greg Biffle.
Could.
This could be extremely good for him. We've seen him run well at Bristol, but like you just said, at the beginning, it's not so much. But I think once he gets that car underneath of him, if they can make the right calls on the box.
That's a key, number one, but the other key is what Greg Biffle, quite frankly, is known very well for. Yeah, he can hold a four-wheel drift, just like Les said, but he also takes care of his equipment.
He does an extremely great job of taking care of his equipment.
He's going to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that's one of those things that a lot of people don't give him credit for.
Yeah.
If you look back, Greg Biffle is great when it comes to protecting his car.
And let's face it, Bristol, among just about all the other races that are out there, attrition is going to get you. Just because people, all it's going to take is just that quick split second of losing attention. You're going to find yourself in the wall. You're going to pancake one side of the car. You possibly might flatten a tire, all those things. If you smack the wall real hard, you might bounce off of it, go take somebody else out. You end up in the interior wall. Boom, your day is done.
Right.
Just through attrition. And Greg Biffle has this knack of taking care of his equipment, number one, and staying out of that trouble, number two. Whether it's brakes or whether he chooses the right lane, he just seems to be able to do that. I say that now, he'll end up wadded up tomorrow, and I don't know what it is. But still,
I think
he has that ability to go out there and take care of his equipment, and he ends up finishing the race, which is first and foremost what you got to do. If you're going to win, you got to finish. And he's the one that's able to do that.
And I think, like I said, this weekend is going to be, it should be an interesting one for him. I think at this point, Roush Fenway is digging for anything. And for Greg Biffle, they do need some help. And I think if Greg Biffle could even, stay out of trouble, stay up, get up there a little bit, maybe a top 15 or a top 10 would be
that's a victory.
Pinnacle. That would be a victory for them right now.
Well, in Roush Fenway, and not only Roush Fenway, Team Penske to a lesser extent because they have been the top of the Ford echelon if you will. They've been sitting on the top of the Ford steps for a while because of just how well Keselowski and Logano have been performing. But every team that runs a Ford right now, they're all on notice because now we know you have the new premier Ford team going to be coming in next year.
I was just getting ready to say. Yep.
You know, Stewart-Haas Racing, you know, them moving over to Ford, you say, well, how do they become the premier team already? Well, number one, they got 4 teams as opposed to Roush Fenway's 3, Team Penske's 2. They may go to 3 teams next year, but still. And then look at what Tony Stewart and Gene Haas are bringing over with them. They're bringing over 2 single-time champions in Tony Stewart, or not Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch.
Mm-hmm.
They're owned by a guy, co-owned, who has 3 Sprint Cup or Cup Series championships to his name.
You got the Yoga Queen.
You got the Yoga Queen, who is guaranteed to have sponsorship for a while because she's in that popularity zone. And you're bringing over Clint Boyer, who we had thought, okay, now he's coming back to Chevrolet. We don't know what's going to happen over at Ford, but we know he's got a good relationship with Kevin Harvick already.
Extremely good relationship.
And that means to me that he's probably going to be able to get in with Kurt Busch and or Danica Patrick pretty easily. He's going to get good feedback from Tony Stewart. You've got a team, they're going to come in fully funded, 4 cars. They're the top echelon. They're the pinnacle. That's what Ford has been looking for. They've been looking for that headline team, and then when they found Stewart-Haas Racing, they found a team that was under the umbrella of Hendrick Motorsports. They knew they were never going to get out of Hendrick Motorsports' shadow.
You can't get out of that shadow. It's not
so it was, you know, you and I have said it. We're both Chevy guys. We're both GM guys. We're both Stewart-Haas Racing fans. But business-wise, this made sense.
It made all sense. I've actually calmed down a little bit now about that whole debacle, and this is probably the best thing Stewart-Haas could have done.
Yeah. That said, Tony, wearing your shirt right now. You will vouch for this. I'm wearing my Tony Stewart shirt right now.
Oh, I'm wearing my Kevin Harvick shirt.
Okay. I will not buy a Ford branded Tony Stewart anything.
No.
I'm just not doing it.
You won't even see a diecast on my shelf. No diecast, no nothing.
No. I'm and my wife, she's not listening, but I will say this. After this year, I'm done buying diecast. I buy Darrell Waltrip, I buy Tony Stewart.
I'll buy older diecast.
I'll buy older to fill in my collection, but I won't be buying any more new.
Yeah.
And even if it was Tony Stewart, I'd be looking at that Ford going, I really want to buy that?
I have one Ford. I talked about it on the show. Diecast-wise, I have one.
Davey Allison.
You darn Skippy. That's the one. That's the one.
And I didn't buy it, actually. That was a gift.
Yeah.
From one of the listeners up here at the radio station. Margaret, hang on. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk TV ratings and Stewart-Haas Racing and all the other stuff that you want to talk about. We'll also talk about Talladega. We got a name that is very familiar to the Birmingham area coming up, and they'll be racing in that race. And we're not talking about Joey Jettina. We'll talk about that and more when we come back for the last 30 minutes.
For months now, Fastest Hour listeners have been turning to Wild Vapors in Sylacauga to provide all their vaping needs. If you haven't yet dropped cigarettes or been to Wild Vapors, you are missing out on the WYDE Preferred Vape Store. You have been wanting to quit smoking for a while now, but haven't found the tool that will get you to the victory once and for all. Wild Vapors has your solution to cigarette addiction. There is a healthier alternative to smoking that can break the routine and help you beat cigarettes once and for all. In fact, over 8% of smokers nationwide have ditched cigarettes for vaping. And now it's time for you. Join the thousands of Americans that have already found the joy of being smoke-free with vaping. The owners at Wild Vapors mix a signature formula for their own brand in an off-site clean room facility, using only the highest quality USP ingredients and leaving out all the artificial sweeteners and other unwanted chemicals. Make your next pit stop at Wild Vapors today in the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location. Call 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
Tony Stewart wins the Cobalt Tools 400.
This is Tony Stewart here to tell you about a way veterans and service members can get on the fast track to well-deserved benefits. It's called eBenefits, a website created by VA and DoD that gives veterans, service members, and families instant access to more than 40 benefits and services. It's a way to serve those who have served us. To get started, just go to www.ebenefits.va.gov or just do a search for VA eBenefits.
Brought to you by the Department of Veterans Affairs.
The only show that covers NASCAR, Indycar, and Formula One. The fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Listening to the fastest hour in radio, going into our last half hour, and wow, we're only about halfway through the stuff I prepared. I thought we'd end up short.
No way.
That'll teach me. Let's go to the phones. 9411011, toll free 866-551-9933 to Hoover. Hi, Margaret. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for the compliment the other day on the morning on the radio.
And we appreciate
Did you made the politicians?
Yeah. Yeah, you like that, huh?
Yeah. I did appreciate that, though. I did appreciate that. I have to tell the boy about it. I've read something in the last week or two in the paper that we get every once in a while that some of the TV ratings are not as good as they have been.
Yeah, they've been kind of mediocre from last year, down a couple of tenths, not significantly off, but they're off, and that should be troubling to the folks from NASCAR when you think that when we look over at Indycar and Formula One, they've both seen and NHRA for that matter, all of them have seen an uptick in their ratings. NASCAR is seeing a downtick.
I find it quite interesting. I'd like to know what my husband would say when he used to say, well, there's race fans and then there's Margaret. And I even switch away. I even switch away sometimes during the race because you only see the top 3 or 4 drivers. You never see those people that are maybe had problems, maybe are not running as well. They're trying to get their car tightened up, loosened up, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And one of the networks in recent past, they would at least go through the field, the top 20 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't seem to do that now. We're too interested in DW and I can't say what I call him, Jeff. I'll have to tell you sometime what my nickname for him is.
Tell me off the air Monday.
I'm right there with Margaret. We can't air my name for him.
But I and I sit there and I thought, I sat here for 2 hours and watched him win. You know, you want to have some excitement, maybe a little bit in the last Saturday night when, Truex's, when they decided, and, he was sunk anyway, I think. If he stays out, they come in and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are things that go on, but it makes it interesting and not to just say. And I'm so sick of Kyle Busch that I just won't even watch it. And that's bad for Margaret.
That says something.
I brought that up a little while ago. It was the fact that, if you look back a few years ago when Jimmy Johnson went on that rampage winning,
5
championships back to back and all that it was very detrimental for NASCAR. And people were saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's always winning. I'm not watching.
Yeah.
Right. And then, have we decided who we're going to support, Steve?
Leaning towards the 4-car.
Okay.
Leaning towards Kevin Harvick.
Even when they go to Ford?
I'll try not to pay attention to the badge on the front.
Well, now Ford has run well in the past. I mean, my goodness,
they have.
Look at the Wood brothers. And all that.
You can always take a screwdriver and just pop that little emblem off of there, and you can paint a little bow tie.
I won't buy one, but I will support Tony Stewart in his efforts because of the fact that Tony Stewart's been my guy.
That's true. And what could have been more exciting than 2011 when he won the championship?
Oh, amazing run. I mean, that fight between he and Carl Edwards where they were both having fun with each other in just that little smile on each other's faces as they were talking about it, it's just, that's what racing is about. That, to me, is racing.
Did not Tony get in his head?
Absolutely. And he knew he had. That's the thing. He knew he had.
Yeah, but he looks good. He looks like he must be working out or doing something. He sure has slimmed up.
Yeah, apparently I'm going to have to go talk to Tony and his trainer because,
Stop eating Krispy Kreme donuts and look what happens.
I don't even eat Krispy Kreme donuts. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Is it? I thought maybe the boy and I would get to go to Talladega, but my church is having its 150th anniversary that weekend.
Congratulations to them.
And so I'm all involved in that. But anyway,
all right.
Have a good week.
You too, and we'll be in touch with you about Talladega Short Track. We'll get you out there, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Margaret. All right.
Side note for Margaret.
Yes.
Guess who's at the top of the leaderboard right now for practice?
Oh, good grief, really?
Yeah. That 18 of Kyle Busch.
Moving on. Xfinity Series coming to Talladega in a couple of weeks. One of the drivers in that secondary series is going to have local ties. And again, this is Xfinity. We'll talk to Joey Jatina next week about his ARCA plans. I'm talking about Brandon McReynolds. He is the son of former Cup Series crew chief and current Fox commentator Larry McReynolds. Posted on his personal Twitter account a couple of days ago, he was going to be driving the number 24 JGL Racing Toyota Camry. It's his second Xfinity Series career start. Of course, Larry McReynolds, born and raised right here in Birmingham, Alabama, started off in racing at the old Birmingham International Raceway, Larry Langford, and then worked his way up into NASCAR in 1975 before he joined the Fox Network and their coverage for NASCAR beginning back in 2001. So congratulations to Brandon. Hope he does well.
Yes. Toyota
is now asking all Camping World Truck Series organizations using their brand to go with their engines. Joe Gibbs Racing, not going to do it. It's going to be offered to all teams running the Tundra racing truck at tracks that are 1.25 miles long or shorter. So 1.25 miles or less. Toyota wants them to run Toyota-branded engines built by Toyota. Kyle Busch, who again gets significant support for his Truck Series team, Kyle Busch Motorsports, from Joe Gibbs Racing and also from Toyota, said that he's going to keep things as they are now, in-house with Joe Gibbs Racing-sourced power plants. Told ESPN.com, though, that could change, quote, "We'll see how it plays out with the other engines and see if it's a necessity that we need to look forward or toward for next year."
Well, basically, that just means if they're doing better than him, then he'll switch to those engines.
Exactly. But at this point in time, I don't see that happening.
No.
Then you get kind of generic NASCAR stuff, and sorry to hear about this. A fire at the Richard Petty Motorsports Museum in Level Cross, North Carolina, Saturday, April the 2nd. We're just now hearing about it. Reports, though, state the fire was quickly contained. It was not widespread, thankfully. No injuries reported, most importantly. And according to museum officials, minimum damage occurred. So if you're planning on going up to the North Carolina area in the near future, Coca-Cola 600 coming up Memorial Day weekend, for example, and you're going to do some of the sites. The museum is going to remain open during the cleanup process. The museum is taking half off the ticket price for all visitors during that time as well.
Steve, we need a road trip.
It's pretty cool stuff.
We need a road trip.
I agree.
We need to go and hit the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And then stop by all the shops.
Sure.
That's just like that one trip, though. It would be so cool.
I would like to do
and call in from Charlotte.
Do the show live.
And do the show live.
I think we're in. John, you in?
Well, John's unfortunately got to stay here.
No, he can play producer on the road.
Yeah.
He's done it from Talladega.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I'm going to this year, too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to get in touch with NASCAR Hall of Fame. Hey, can we do it live from there?
I'm in like
love
Flynn, by the way.
Yeah, good. All right. So we're all in. Now we just need a...
You could learn something.
Do we need a motorhome sponsor?
We could use one.
Camping World.
Some of the local guys. Just saying.
Just saying.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're ready for you.
Yeah.
All right. NASCAR Hall of Famer Bill Elliott, likely Hall of Fame crew chief Ray Evernham, who helped bring Dodge back to NASCAR back in 2001 together, joining forces again. This time they're going to be in a celebrity pro-am race that's going to be held at Indianapolis Speedway in June. It's being sponsored and promoted by the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, or SVRA. They're for vintage muscle and sports cars going from about 1963 through 1972. You'll see Corvettes and Mustangs, Camaros, Firebirds, Chargers, Challengers, among others, all from that era. In addition to the Elliott Evernham co-driven entry, you're going to have some 33 former Indy 500 winners that will have gotten an extended invite as well. The race itself going to take place on the Speedway's 2.43-mile-long road course, June 18th. And because this is what racing does, all the proceeds from that event going to be going to local charities in the Indianapolis area.
Love it.
I want to be invited to a celebrity pro-am race. Of course, we could just buy a Speedway.
I'm down for that.
Rockingham.
Then let me just get my checkbook.
Sure.
Yeah, we could actually do something with the Rock, and then once we make a bunch of money there, we can buy North Wilkesboro, and we can actually do something there and keep getting all the tracks back and start our own series, which Kyle Busch is not allowed to race in.
Rockingham Speedway is up on the auction block again. The Speedway, which hosted NASCAR's Top Series from 1965 through 2004, will, according to a report in the Richmond County Daily Journal out of North Carolina, that newspaper, it's going to be sold, quote, to the highest bidder for cash, unquote. The auction set to take place shortly after the race weekend at Talladega, specifically May the 5th. The property has been valued at just under $7 million after the previous owners, former racer Andy Hillenberg and his partner Bill Silas, bought that track at auction themselves several years ago, upgrading the facility that started all back in 2007. After he bought the facility, he repaved it. He performed upgrades to the media tower. He was able to bring some racing back to the track. He had ARCA Racing Series come to the track. And then in 2012 and 2013, brought the Camping World Trek Series back there.
It was awesome.
It was. But the business partners then began to run into some financial difficulties. They ended up defaulting on their $4.2 million loan that they had gotten from Farmers and Merchants Bank locally, and it allowed them to get the property in the first place. So they are out.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it a couple weeks ago on the show that there was a new series that was going to be racing at the Rock.
Yeah, and apparently that's falling down by the wayside as well. I haven't heard much about that particular new series.
I haven't heard much as well.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it, and if we hear of anything, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
If you happen to be listening in upstate New York, which is possible because you could listen to us on 101WIDE.com or check out Superstation 101 through a TuneIn app on your smartphone.
Yeah.
So you could be listening in New York, and if you're anywhere near Watkins Glen, I invite you to head on over to Watkins Glen International this weekend. Because they are taking the wraps off of their repave job, which began the day after the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race last August. And it went on through the winter despite some weather delays due to snow. While it's still not 100% complete, they got some minor finishing touches that still need attention. The track surface is complete around all the way. The NASCAR one, which is the shorter track surface, and then the extended one where they used to run Formula One and they still run sports cars. If you go out there for free, they're going to open up the track. You can bring your personal car out onto the new pavement and check it out.
Steve, why are we here?
That's a heck of a road trip. That's a heck of a road trip right there.
Why are we here right now?
I don't know. These people don't tell us about this stuff.
We need to be informed.
Speedway Motorsports Incorporated founder Bruton Smith considering branching out in his ownership ventures. And I'm not talking about more tracks. According to a report from the website Kicking the Tires and the other website, motorsports.com, Smith's interested in buying the Carolina Panthers NFL franchise.
Oh, gosh.
Jerry Richardson, who's the founder of that franchise, is now 79 years old. He was reportedly mandated that the team be sold within 2 years of his passing, with one caveat, that the team be kept by the next owner in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, that poses no problem for Bruton Smith, who is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Smith says he is intrigued by the possibility of owning the now two-time Super Bowl participants, but has not talked any money at this point in time.
Bruton, buddy, listen, you don't need to buy the Carolina Panthers. You don't.
Why?
He needs to buy more tracks.
What?
He needs to buy the Rock, and he needs to buy North Wilkesboro and fix them.
Be a start.
That's a start right there.
Be a lot less expensive than the Carolina Panthers.
It would be a lot less expensive. 1, 2, you could throw some, I don't know, more ARCA races. You could throw some Xfinity races and some truck races out there. You could do some stuff with that, and it's just seeing those tracks the way they are.
At the risk of really upsetting a whole lot of Carolina Panthers fans.
Oh, there's a lot around here.
There are a few.
Those bandwagon ones. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
But at the risk of ticking you guys off, it is cost prohibitive to buy an NFL franchise.
It is.
They're not the most valuable franchise in the NFL, so I'll start there. We've looked at the numbers. The franchise worth the most is the Dallas Cowboys, followed by the New England Patriots, the Washington Redskins, and there's a couple of others. Carolina Panthers are trying to knock onto the top 10 as far as value is concerned. But when you think about how much it will cost you to get that franchise, the last team that I remember seeing being sold for close to $1 billion.
Right.
Think about that for a second. That's not an M, that's a B.
Yeah.
$1 billion. Bruton Smith, he's pretty flush with cash. I get it.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you.
Yeah, good job.
But you're going to spend $1 billion on the NFL franchise, or you're going to go up there and for cash throw $5 million down and probably walk away with the keys to Rockingham.
That's what I'm saying. I would not buy an NFL team. That's just too much, especially when you got to learn to dab.
There's only one.
If you're going to buy the Carolina
Panthers,
Panthers, you kind of got to do that. So you got to learn to dab. So I hope Bruton Smith knows how to dab.
By the way, dumbest celebration move I have ever seen in a long time.
All done by losers.
I don't get it.
Have you looked at that?
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's start it off with the one and only Cam Newton. Dabbing into the loss. Clemson Tigers dabbing into the loss.
Oh, that's true.
And then North Carolina basketball team dabbing into the loss.
Bad year for North Carolina sports. Stop and think about that for a second.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Carolina, North and South Carolina people, if you're a fan of North and South Carolina teams, this was not a good year.
No, it's not. You need to find something to take that pain away.
Pay attention to racing, would you?
Yes.
Just don't be a
Go
Kyle
to
Busch
Charlotte.
fan. Just don't be a Kyle Busch fan.
Don't.
Our sympathies going out to Motor Racing Network announcer Mike Bagley. Reports came out earlier this week his mother, Inez Gladden Bagley, passed away earlier this week, passed away at Bay Health Kent General Hospital in Dover, Delaware at the age of 68. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him.
Yes.
Combined Miller Coors Brewery has come to a multi-year agreement with the Verizon IndyCar Series, going to make America's second largest brewery, now the official beer and hard cider of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Coors Leader is actually going to be the lead brand, but other products from the company will be featured throughout the course of the year. The announcement also included the previous announcement that Coors Light is the presenting sponsor of the Grand Prix of Boston coming up Labor Day weekend. Promoters of this year's inaugural Grand Prix of Boston Verizon IndyCar Series race have gotten closer to finalizing all details. Reports came out Thursday. The city of Boston, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, and other governmental organizations who I'm sick and tired of talking about have all signed agreements with their organizers assuming all the costs related to the race and state that the taxpayers of the state will bear zero burden.
Wow.
The roads to be used on the Bayfront Street course in South Boston are also, according to the documents, to be in as good or better condition than they were before the event took place. So all those morons who say that it's going to be bad for the city of Boston, shut up!
Yeah, because now you don't have to ride down bumpy roads.
That said, since the event was announced a year ago next month, it has been in political turmoil with a number of citizens groups reportedly working to stop the event, including the one that we mentioned on the show a couple of months ago. IndyCar CEO Mark Miles, upon learning of the signed documents, said, quote, there are countless boxes that have to be ticked, approvals that have to be gained from a number of government entities involved, and a process to make sure that the neighbors and businesses in the areas are communicated with and all the right contingency plans are in place. But I think our guys are doing that, and I think it's going to be in good shape. I'm hoping so. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'm excited.
It's been some 30 years since last seen around the IndyCar circuit, but Theodore Racing is set to make a comeback this year. If you hadn't heard of them, you're forgiven. Teddy Yip Jr., he's the son of original Theodore Racing founder Teddy Yip Sr., Natch, has announced a technical partnership with Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. The team's going to come back. They're going to run 3 races this year. It's going to be this week's Long Beach Grand Prix, the Indy Grand Prix, the road course event coming up in mid-May, and then, of course, the 100th running of the Indy 500. The original Theodore Racing started back in 1973. They ran in both IndyCar and Formula One, among other series. They'd actually gotten Tom Sneva behind the wheel. He claimed the 1983 Indy 500 in a Theodore Racing entry. The team, though, folded in 1985. However, Yip Jr. brought it back. He won a Formula 3 Macau Grand Prix under that moniker in 2013. He's run since then under the name of Status Racing in GP3 and GP2 Formula 1 feeder series. This partnership with Rahal Letterman Lanigan will actually get the number 15 Graham Rahal entry under the Theodore Racing banner. So nice pull on that part.
It's a great comeback, especially come back and do if they can do so well in the top series.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll do well.
Yeah.
This weekend, not only the Verizon IndyCar Series race on the streets in Long Beach, but so is the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Series. Not something we talk about a whole lot, but we'll talk about it today because one of the drivers in today's race is going to be Ryan Hunter-Ray. He's going to be getting a ride in a Daytona prototype Chevy Corvette. It gives the 2012 Verizon IndyCar champion a little bit more time on the course. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about 2 very different kinds of cars.
Yeah, there's a difference there. Big difference.
It's going to be his 3rd run in that series so far this season. He's claimed top 5s in the 24 Hours of Daytona and the 12 Hours of Sebring so far in the number 90 VisitFlorida.com racer. So good luck to him.
Mm-hmm.
Formula One McLaren driver Fernando Alonso, who suffered a concussion at the season opening event in Australia, was asked early this week what he had known about a time frame for returning to racing, but he was uncertain at that time. He'd missed the season's 2nd race due to doctors not clearing him for the injuries he sustained in Australia. A couple of weeks ago, Stoffel Van Dorn impressed. He claimed championship points in his first race at Bahrain. Alonso was tested as the week wore on, but as of Tuesday, he didn't know what the FIA medical team was going to say. Well, Friday, yesterday, as we go to air, word came down Alonso has been cleared by doctors to race the entire weekend this weekend. He was allowed to participate in practice number 1 on Friday. Afterward, was checked out by series doctors. They cleared him for the rest of the weekend. Alonso has, though, been given specific instructions as to what he should do should he feel anything abnormal from either his concussion or from the broken ribs that he suffered in Australia. In other words, if you feel uncomfortable at all,
you need to tell somebody.
You get into the pits and shut up and get out of the car.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I agree.
We've been talking a lot about local racing here. We haven't heard from late model Mark out there, but Talladega Short Track is underway. We have heard also that our fine folks up in Huntsville have gotten Huntsville Speedway back up.
Yes.
Calling from Huntsville. Jimmy, hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are y'all guys this morning?
Doing well. What you got on your mind?
Oh, not much. I just know we like to kind of promote our little speedways around here and just let y'all guys know that Huntsville's got a heartbeat again, starting racing on Saturday nights. Of course, you being around the BIR when it was open, and the Allisons and all them, but they made trips between Huntsville and Birmingham, and of course Nashville. But
sure, yeah, I-65 is well traveled, no doubt.
And of course Huntsville is probably one of the fastest quarter miles in the nation.
Oh, it is quick.
Of Dale Earnhardt's run there, and of course last race I'd seen Bobby Allison run. You remember the All Pro Series?
Oh yeah.
Used to run around. He actually won the race. I think it was in '85. So
nice, very nice.
Last time they'd run, and what was funny about him and Jody Ridley had got into each other. Bobby kind of took him out on the last lap, and then they got in a scuffle after the race.
Well, Jody Ridley. Wow, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. That's kind of nice. That's kind of a neat flashback. So, are we under? Is Huntsville Speed? How much do you know about this? I guess would be the big question. We're under new ownership.
Well, there's a guy that there was family, of course, that owned the property forever and wouldn't sell the property. They just leased it, and
okay.
There's a guy that has the lease, I think, up to June, July, and word is that one of Kyle Busch associates has purchased the whole property. So
oh, wow.
Once that lease runs out, then, of course, he can take over and do the remodeling and start putting money into it. So
okay.
Hopefully it's going to be a good thing for us. So
website, I assume, HuntsvilleSpeedway.com?
It is.
Fantastic.
And they'll race tonight. I believe they start at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. So.
Excellent. So if you're looking for some local racing action, Huntsville Speedway, not that far up the road. Good track. I've seen good pictures. It's something, unfortunately, I haven't been there yet, but it is something I do want to go do. So, yeah, definitely got that on our plans. Very cool,
Jimmy.
We
appreciate y'all guys, and y'all have a good weekend.
We'll do it. You too, and call in anytime. Let us know about it, okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Take care, Jimmy.
And, here's the thing. If you happen to be listening to us and you are a promoter or or you're a racer at your local track, wherever it is, you want to let us know about the racing that's going on there, call us.
I'm looking at the HuntsvilleSpeedway.com right now.
Yeah.
They're talking 7 p.m. going to be starting tonight. Looks like admission prices aren't bad either. Front gate for adults, $10. Students, 12 to 17, $10. And children, 7 to 11, $5. 6 and under are free.
Nice.
And the back gate, so of course I'm guessing that's probably the pits, $30 to get in.
Yeah.
But that's definitely worth it. We've spent a lot of great time in the pits down at Talladega Short Track, and it's always great to get in there and talk to those guys. But yeah, it starts tonight, 7 o'clock, so make sure you get up there.
Absolutely. And if you live in the Huntsville, Decatur, Athens, Madison area, go over there. Check it out.
We need to
it's
go up there,
definitely worth
too.
your time, no doubt.
Yes.
We got a lot of tracks that we got to get to.
We have a lot.
Just
hitting the check marks. Yep.
Lewis Hamilton's qualifying effort for this weekend ended up being 5 grids further back when all is said and done, but you can't go from 22nd to 27th because there are only 22 cars. His Mercedes engineers had to change out his gearbox. They discovered some damage to it following the Bahrain Grand Prix. Because of the unapproved equipment change, that 5 grid spot penalty was incurred. They decided to implement it following qualifying for this weekend's Grand Prix of China. We talked about it earlier when we mentioned the fact that he's starting shotgun on the field because they felt that there were so many different areas on the Shanghai course favorable to passing. So they decided to take it there. So, yeah, they start 22nd. Good luck.
Yeah, have fun with that.
For fans of the FAA Formula E Series who want to help their favorite driver with a power boost before next weekend's Paris E-Prix, the web-based fan voting is open. You can log on to FIAFormulaE.com/fanboost. It's available through the series official app for your smartphone as well. Also available is voting through Twitter and Instagram. You can vote up to once each day for up to the day of the race. And voting will close 6 minutes before the start of the event, and it gives them, like I said, a little bit of a power boost.
Mm-hmm.
One less now NHRA team. Unfortunate to hear this. Vandergriff Racing has closed its doors. Owner Bob Vandergriff announced he is retiring, effective immediately. And it means the entire operation's been closed down. All the employees have been released from their contracts. His two drivers, Dave Connolly and Leah Pritchett, Top Fuel competitors, are out of their rides. Vandergriff says he's been considering retiring for some time, but for whatever reason decided to start this year and then decided not to finish it. Statement released by Vandergriff said this, quote, been considering retirement for a few years. I've actually done it once already when I retired from the driver's seat at the end of the 2014 season. Now it's time to retire from the sport altogether. The recent unexpected death of BVR supporter and close friend Josh Comstock from C&J Energy Services made me reflect and seriously reevaluate my priorities in life. Done.
That's it.
And then we got some sad news out of the drag racing world as well. We learned about the passing of Ronnie Davis last weekend at Rockingham Dragway.
Yeah.
Known as the King, Davis was making his final qualifying run in the PDRA Spring Nationals when his 1963 Corvette racer shot left across the track in front of Mark Malcutt's racer. It cleared the right side guard wall, but it then began to barrel roll. When Davis was pulled out of the car, he was transported to a local hospital, then taken to UNC Medical Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where he passed away. As a 5-time IHRA season champion, he earned his nickname the King by dominating his competition at Atlanta Dragway's King of the Hill competition. The Georgia product also owned Davis golf carts in Sewanee, Georgia. Ronnie the King Davis was 66 years old. Drag Illustrated magazine is reporting that Davis's car had also hit a journalist by the name of Ian Tutcher. He was taken also to UNC Medical Center. He underwent successful surgery. He is expected to recover from injuries to his pelvis and his left leg, but unfortunately we lost Ronnie the King Davis. Our thoughts and our prayers here at the Fastest Hour in Radio go out to his family and friends. We got a moment.
We got a moment?
Yeah. Usually we do this in the After the Show, which you can find, which we'll post video-wise up on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/The Fastest Hour in Radio.
It'll be up there in about an hour.
I'm going to skip over the Xfinity Series race because I pretty much know who we'd all guess.
I'm not touching it.
But do we want to talk Spring Cup Series tomorrow?
Why not?
Sure. Carl Edwards is on the pole.
Okay.
Joe Gibbs Racing, 4 out of the top 5 starting positions. Joey Logano, the only interloper in there.
It's so hard because you don't want to see what's been happening. But I almost got to think at Bristol, you got to look at JGR Power. Oh, God, this is going to hurt. Carl Busch.
It almost worked for me last week. Carl Edwards was on the pole last week. He led 124 laps. I think Carl Edwards, who runs very, very well at Bristol, I think he might be prime now.
This is the week I hope I'm wrong.
I'm going Carl Edwards.
You're going
Again,
Carl
this
Edwards.
is the second week in a row I've chosen Carl Edwards to win, and it's that close.
I got to go throw up now.
Any thoughts, John? Want to throw in on
Logano.
this? You're going Logano. He's going with the old Ford product over there.
Oh, fine.
All right. Hey, it may not be a bad choice.
It's possible.
I'm just saying. Could
All right.
be.
Yeah.
Maybe all the Joe Gibbs guys wad up each other. It could happen. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy all the racing. We'll do it again next week right here.
See ya!